Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. Welcome back to the backpack chat. You know, it's 2021. Okay, we made it. 2020 was a dumpster fire and a little bit of a hoe. So when I see her next time, it's on site. But here we are, okay? The Backpack Chat is undergoing some rebranding. You know, we got a new website, Snap, okay? I'm going to be exploring some new avenues of delving into some issues, some mental health issues with you guys. So be on the lookout for the rollout of those things. We're just going to act brand new, okay? We survived 2020 and I'm ready to act brand new. But first, let's get into this. You know, folks always make New Year's resolutions. You know, I'm not that type of person. I believe in consistently and constantly evolving. But the new year is a good time to reevaluate and, you know, make some changes to the plan that you already have for yourself. Now, if you are like me, you got to make certain accommodations because of your anxiety. So today we're going to talk about goal setting, but in the context of having what can sometimes be crippling anxiety because your girl struggles often. Okay, now I would be remiss if I did not talk about purpose when we're talking about goal setting. Okay, so purpose is the thing that resets you when you get out of alignment. You can always come back to your purpose. Now, developing and discovering your purpose, that's a whole different thing. That can be pretty challenging and it's a lifelong occurrence, okay? It evolves as you evolve. So what your purpose was 5 years ago may not be what your purpose is today. And that is okay. Okay? And I think sometimes we get caught up in continuing things that work for us when we're no longer passionate about them. Okay, it's okay to reevaluate and rediscover. You can go down a different path at any time, all right? So once you figure out your purpose, which is not an easy task, let's look at a way of enacting that purpose in your life in a practical and applicable way. So in the mental health community, we always talk about SMART goals. And SMART is an acronym that we use. And I think it's pretty common at this point. But if we're talking about setting goals within the context of anxiety or having anxiety, it'll look a little bit different. So let's get into it. Let's unpack this. All right. This is the Backpack Chat. Let's unpack. So S typically stands for specific. So we're talking about being specific with your goals, short term and long term. Now, for anxiety-ridden people such as myself, the S also stands for scheduling. I have a planner and I schedule out my life on a monthly basis and a weekly basis. If I do anything other than that, I tend to get a little bit overwhelmed, get the hyperventilating, and I can't do nothing. I be having 50 things to do and I'm like, I have 50 things to do. I can't do number one because I'm freaking out about everything that I have to do. And that just does not help anybody. But if you understand where I'm coming from, you know, like, share, subscribe. The M stands for measurable. Now, this is super, super important because if we're talking about long-term goals, it makes it more digestible if you break them up into smaller goals. So let's say I want to lose 30 pounds this year. Cool. That's great. Breaking it up into a smaller goal of maybe 1 to 2 pounds a week, it makes it easier for you to see, you know, where you're making progress and where you may be having some areas that need improvement. Okay, so making sure your goals are measurable will cut down on a lot of your anxiety because you can see, okay, this is where I'm struggling, this is where I'm succeeding. A is for attainable. Now, let me tell you, because I am not a dreamer. So I make my goals what I feel like are well within my means. So this one is I'm pretty good at. Now, I do have friends that are dreamers, and so, their dreams, they can be a little bit more challenging. I'll put it like that. But I try to make sure that your goals are attainable within the time span that you've set. Okay, going back to being measurable, and going back to scheduling. You want to make sure that you are reasonably able to attain those goals within the parameters that you set. All right, let's move on to the R. R is for realistic. Now, this is where I could, use a little bit of help. My goals are often too realistic. So meaning I could easily do them. There's no stretch for me. I don't make them difficult enough to where I have to push myself. So when I look back on my goals, even though they were realistic, they were a little bit too realistic, and I don't feel like I've made as much progress as I could have if I pushed myself a little bit more. That's just me though. On the converse side, again, going back to some of my friends that are dreamers, ambition is great, but sometimes we got to bring it down a little bit. Make sure the goals that we are setting for ourselves are realistic. It's unrealistic to lose 30 pounds in 2 weeks. In a healthy way. That's just not a realistic expectation that you should place on yourself. And it'll cut down on a lot of your anxiety about your goals in your future if you make your goals realistic. So finally, T. T is time-based. So when we're talking about scheduling and making sure you have a planner or some sort of plan, time-based. So this is where we're talking about giving yourself a time period beyond just scheduling. Okay, so I have a deadline or a time period of a week to accomplish this specific goal, or a time period and a deadline of a month to accomplish this specific goal that will help me build on or help me create a foundation that will build onto my long-term goals. For me, time causes a lot of anxiety, okay? And not just because I feel like time is never gonna stop. I think this is where sometimes we compare our story to other people's story based on our timetable. Okay, I'm 30, and one of the things that causes me a lot of anxiety is feeling like at 30 I should have accomplished more, or I should have done this, or little Susie Sue is doing all the things that I want to, and it's making me anxious because, girl, like, what are you doing? When in reality, I'm doing my best. I'm doing the best that I can with the knowledge that I have. And as I pursue more knowledge, I can do better. Okay, but I think it's important to know your timetable is your timetable. You set it and you stick to that. Okay, don't let social media fool you. All right, that's a sermon for another day. All right, because let me tell you, social media will have you feeling like you ain't doing nothing with your life. But I digress. Two really big things in the grand scheme of goal setting. So we went over the acronym SMART goals. Two big things for me. The first big thing that has made my anxiety kind of ebb is staying present in the moment. So I plan and I schedule, but I also make sure that when I'm completing these goals that I am present. When I'm knocking out tasks, I'm being fully present and giving my attention to that one thing. Not thinking about the future or what else I got to do, because I've already written down. Girl, you wrote it down, you planned it out. Don't worry about all that. We'll get to that when it's that time. And another big thing that has helped me is learning to give myself some grace. I'm going to miss the mark sometimes, and that's got to be okay. I'm not perfect, and as much as I strive to be or I try to be, that's an unrealistic goal as well. All right, girl, like, I really hope y'all enjoyed that installment of the Backpack Chat. So please follow me on Facebook at The Backpack Chat, Instagram at _backpack_chat, and check out my website at www.thebackpackchat.com. Booyah.